Welcome to Mother Daughter Projects. I'm Steph.
I'm Vicki.
And today we're going to replace the wood expansion joints in concrete with vinyl.
So Steph came over one morning. We decided we'd get this done in no time because we had done it one time before at Steph's house and it was so easy. We just needed a pry bar and a pair of pliers and boom, it was done. Not so much here.
So we're going to start with what went right because we did do this project, but I will say it took us about 2 weeks and a couple Amazon orders in order for it to be completed. But we'll show you how the vinyl is laid. We'll show you how we ended up removing the wood that worked well. But at the very end, we're going to show you all the things that didn't work so you don't have to bother trying them. We'll be using 3/4 inch gray vinyl made by Trim-a-Slab that we got from HomeDepot.com. We got 25 feet for the 2 joints in the patio concrete. This fits very easily into the gap between the 2 concrete slabs. It does come in different sizes depending on the width of the gap between your slabs. It's important to have a good seal between the slabs to prevent water from getting underneath and weeds from growing in between. I easily cut it with heavy-duty scissors and lightly tapped it into place, and it said to walk over it to make sure it is set in place. So that's how the vinyl is installed, which as you saw in real time takes really no time. Now here's a look at the before. This is the wood expansion joint that was originally here. The purpose of the expansion joints is to allow the concrete to slightly expand and contrast over time and hopefully prevent cracking. On the company Trim-a-Slab's website, they recommend removing the wood with a tool called a hookaroo and a set of pry bars which they sell. The idea with the hookaroo is that it will allow you to get up under the wood and pull it out. But as you can see, it was not successful for us. So on to trying the pry bar, which did work well for us. The reason I'm using the shorter pry bar is because each one has a different width head, and this is the only one that would fit in the 3/4 inch gap. This was very successful and it got under the wood and we were able to pop it out. The best tool for hitting the pry bar was a baby sledgehammer as it has a bit of weight to it and it was able to get the job done efficiently. Here's the aftermath with the pieces of wood removed. With Trim-a-Slab, the full wood piece doesn't have to be removed, but just enough for the vinyl to lay on top and about halfway into the joint. Here's a look inside the joint before I put the vinyl in place. You can see there's plenty of space for the vinyl to sit flush. What we learned!
We learned so much on this project. It was so frustrating that we almost gave up on it.
But we didn't, and it's done, and you know, I would do it again, because now we know what works. But as promised, let's show you all the things that did not work. The first thing that we tried was a typical woodworking chisel, which was too short to really get any amount of room to leverage the wood up. Then we tried pliers to pull up the wood, but it just resulted in chipping the wood. We also tried a regular pry bar, but it was too short to get up under the wood or on the sides, and the wood just came out in chunks. Then we thought cutting the wood in half with a circular saw might work to take out some of the thickness in the middle, and it would allow us to pull out the pieces. But it still didn't work, it was just too slow going. And lastly, we tried a multi-tool, and again, it was not successful. But honorable mention to the leaf blower, as it did help clean up the area fast after we removed the wood. After we tried all those unsuccessful tools, that is when we ordered the hookaroo and the Trim-a-Slab pry bars. A few days later, we returned to the project with our new tools. This is when we realized the baby sledgehammer and pry bar worked the best to remove the wood. You can see the pry bar really got under the wood to push it up. Keep this sucker. This is going in the museum.
Yeah.
So these are the items that work the best. This hammer, this chisel, this I just kind of use for leverage because this this pry bar is too big to fit in the hole, so it didn't actually help me with anything. But this pry bar did fit in the hole, so that's what I used to try to get up under the wood, and it finally leveraged itself out. But steel-toe boots are a must so that you protect your feet. And here it is. This is the piece. Yes, we're keeping it. It's going in our garage, and we're gonna look at it and remember what success looks like. Look at it. Take a good look at success, folks.
So success looks like an old damaged piece of wood.
It does. It does. In our case, it does. It does indeed. So I do want to say I thought about why it was more harder here than at my house, and I think it's because there was these are bigger slabs of concrete. So at my house, it was a sidewalk, so the wood I was able to access from both sides and able to pry the whole thing up at once. And I think I just couldn't do it here because it's so much longer, and that's why I needed to kind of get it from the bottom to push it up. Because there was no way I could pull it up from the top, as you saw, it crumbled.
In a separate video, I painted the concrete back here, and I really should have taken those expansion joints out first, because we did end up with all those trials and errors. We did end up damaging the concrete just a tiny bit, so I had to go back and patch and go back and repaint. So expansion joints out first.
And then you can put the vinyl in after it's painted. And we did get to try 2 products that we hadn't tried before in this project. One was the trim-a-slab, which we were really happy with, and I like that it's available at Home Depot online, really easy to order and install. And also the hookaroon.
I love the name.
We had way too much fun saying the name, and sadly, as you saw, it did not work for our case. That is not what its tool is normally used for. It's usually used for like moving wood around, so for those purposes, it's probably great, but sadly, it did not work for our purposes. But it is a fun title, and we will never forget the hookaroon, and we hopefully will have a need for hooking a rune in the future. All right, well, thanks for joining us. If you want to see more projects from us, be sure to visit us at motherdaughterprojects.com. And
subscribe to the newsletter because I write it.
Mom writes it. We'll put a link to it here.